This is the Sabbath School lesson for the third quarter, 2021.
Lesson 12 from the series Rest in Christ is titled The Restless Prophet. It's ready for teaching on September 18, and I'm Percy Harrold. Friday, September 17. From the book Prophets and Kings, page 266. In the charge given him, Jonah had been entrusted with a heavy responsibility. Yet he who had bidden him go was able to sustain his servant and grant him success. Had the prophet obeyed unquestioningly, he would have been spared many bitter experiences, and would have been blessed abundantly. Yet, in the hour of Jonah's despair, the Lord did not desert him. Through a series of trials and strange providences, the prophet's confidence in God and in his infinite power to save was to be revived. End of quote. And from Ellen White with Christ Object Lessons, page 232, thousands can be reached in the most simple and humble way. The most intellectual, those who are looked upon as the world's most gifted men and women, are often refreshed by the simple words of one who loves God and who can speak of that love as naturally as the worldling speaks of the things that interest him most deeply. And that brings us to our 5 discussion questions for this week. 1. A prophet of God who was upset that the people God called him to witness to accepted salvation? How are we to understand this attitude on the part of Jonah? What a powerful example of God's patience with his people, even when they act contrary to the light they have. 2. Jonah's story seems to suggest that God not only is in the business of saving wayward people, but also is very interested in transforming his followers. How can we get a new heart and a new spirit, even if we already know the Lord and the truth for this time? What is the difference between knowing truth and being transformed by it? 3. Read the book of Jude again. What is the essential message of the book, and why is that message relevant to us as a church today? 4. How does the experience of working for the salvation of others do us so much spiritual good as well? And 5. Whatever good reasons Jonah had, or thought he had, for not wanting to go to Nineveh, God showed him how wrong he actually was. What attitude might we have toward others that could reflect the same wrong attitude that Jonah displayed? Inside Story. No More Resentment is the title today, and it's by Terry Saleh. Imagine being 7 years old and fleeing for your life in a jungle. This was Jimmy Shui's life in the Southeast Asian country of Myanmar. Young Jimmy developed a deep resentment toward the authorities because of his experiences. At one point, lost in the jungle, he thought he would die. He decided that if he survived, he would take up arms to get revenge. After 2 years of separation, Jimmy found his father in a refugee camp in Thailand. But his father did not agree with Jimmy's plan, saying it would not help to fight. Instead, he urged Jimmy to become a pastor. It was not easy for Jimmy to give up his anger and deep resentment, but he saw his father's peace and joy as they attended a Seventh-day Adventist church in the refugee camp. He read about the conflict between Christ and Satan in the Bible. He realized his father was right and decided to forgive. Jimmy became a pastor and later resettled in the United States. He soon discovered that many Adventist refugee families whom he had known in refugee camps in Thailand were now scattered across North America. They were trying to find churches but did not know enough English to understand the messages or participate in the services. Many were discouraged. Jimmy longed to visit and encourage them in their faith. He wanted to help them to organize small groups so they could worship in their own language. With much prayer, Jimmy planted 3 churches. But working full-time to support his family, he did not have time or funds to travel to help any more of the 2,000 Karen Adventist refugees scattered across the continent. But God knew my heart and my needs, said Jimmy, now a pastor in the Carolina Conference and a Karen church planting consultant for the North American Division's Adventist Refugee and Immigrant Ministries. God had been leading all the time, and he already had a plan. A 13 Sabbath offering that was collected in 2011 provided funds to reach out to refugees in North America. The funds allowed Jimmy to visit refugees scattered across the United States and Canada, helping them to organise congregations in their own language and to serve their communities. Through his work, 55 Karen churches have been planted across the continent over the past decade. All this was possible because church members gave, and Jimmy and others like him allowed God to replace their resentment with love. And there's a photograph of Jimmy, Pastor Jimmy, right here on the left. This quarter, your 13 Sabbath offering will again help share the gospel with refugees in the North American division. Thank you for planning a generous offering. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. It's supported by the Sabbath School Department and Hope Channel Australia and is rebroadcast by Christian Record Services and through podcasts at It Is Written in the United States, Hope Channel Germany, and through Apple iTunes and SoundCloud. Remember, God is always faithful.